It's late afternoon, and the sun dips low across the horizon, casting amber streaks through the oak trees lining Brookfield Park. 17-year-old Jamal Turner sits quietly on a worn wooden bench near the old water fountain, absently thumbing through videos on his phone. The air smells like freshly cut grass, and somewhere nearby, a group of little kids squeals with laughter near the swings. It's one of those rare, peaceful moments Jamal's learned to treasure, a small pocket of calm in a world that too often feels like it's holding its breath around him. But peace doesn't last here. Not for long. From the corner of his eye, Jamal notices a woman approaching, her blonde hair pulled into a severe ponytail, her expression pinched tight like she's chewing on a lemon. She slows when she spots him, hovers for a beat too long, and then glances away. But the words slip out anyway, low but sharp enough to cut through the air. He looks out of place. Jamal freezes, his heart thudding once, hard. He's heard that tone before, knows exactly where this is going. She doesn't know him, doesn't know he spent all morning helping his grandma set up her new phone, or that he's on this bench because he needed a break from everything. School, life, expectations. None of that matters now. What matters is that she's already pulled out her phone. Jamal watches her thumb swipe the screen, hears the clipped words she says into the receiver like she's reading from a script she's performed before. Yes, I need someone to come check this out. There's a young black male just lingering near the fountain. Been here over an hour. He's making me uneasy. Her voice stays steady, but Jamal hears the edge. The same edge that's followed him into stores, down sidewalks, through hallways. That cold, practiced fear that turns boys like him into suspects just for existing. His stomach drops. He stares at the ground for a second, blinking at the cracks in the sidewalk like they might swallow him whole. This isn't new, but that doesn't make it any less terrifying. The distant wail of sirens grows louder, getting closer with every breath he takes. Jamal swipes at his phone screen, but the notifications blur together. Missed calls, texts from his cousin, a weather alert. Nothing that'll stop what's coming next. He stands slowly, heart pounding in his throat. He knows how fast these things escalate. He knows the risk of looking defensive, knows the risk of looking scared, knows the risk of anything. He inhales sharply, locking his knees to keep from trembling. He's done everything right today, and still, here he is, about to be judged, questioned, maybe worse. But what Jamal doesn't know, what none of them know, is that someone nearby is watching, and they're about to rewrite the whole story. Jamal's never fit the label strangers slap on him. Teachers have called him gifted. His friends know he's the creative one, the guy with notebooks full of movie scripts and short story drafts. His English teacher says he's got a voice people need to hear. But none of that matters now. Not to the woman glaring at him like he's an unwanted guest in his own city. Not to the officer whose squad car now screeches to a halt at the curb. Jamal's lungs tighten as the officer climbs out, one hand hovering dangerously close to his holster. The woman puffs up her chest, pointing with shaking fingers like she's doing the world a favor. "That's him," she snaps. "He's the one. I don't know what he's doing here, but he's acting suspicious." The officer shifted his weight, glancing between Jamal and the woman with a growing frown. His voice came low but tight. "You got some ID on you?" Jamal's throat felt dry. He nodded slowly, reaching into his pocket with careful, deliberate movements. Every muscle in his body tensed as he handed over his learner's permit. The officer barely glanced at it before turning his eyes back to Jamal, something unreadable flickering in his expression. Without warning, the officer's hand latched onto Jamal's arm. "I'm gonna need you to come with me," he said flatly. Jamal's heart jumped. His legs felt rooted to the ground. He froze. The urge to pull away surged through him, but he knew better. He'd learned all the rules. Don't resist, stay still, stay quiet. But this wasn't some textbook scenario. This was his life. This was happening. Around them, the air thickened. Conversations in the park died down. People paused mid-stride, some whispering, some just staring, but nobody stepping forward. The woman who'd called 911 stood off to the side with her arms folded across her chest, her mouth curling into something smug like she already knew how this would end. But she didn't. Not today. Not with what was about to happen next. Just as the officer began tugging Jamal toward the patrol car, another voice rang out, steady and sharp. "Officer, is there an issue here?" The officer's grip went slack. The woman's head whipped around. Jamal turned too, his breath catching in his throat. Striding toward them in heels that clicked with authority was his mom, Danielle Turner. Her charcoal blazer crisp, her badge clipped visibly to her belt. 3 bold letters beneath the seal. FBI. Jamal felt the knot in his chest loosen just a little. His mom's gaze locked onto the officer like a laser. Her tone, calm, but edged with steel. "Is there a problem here?" The officer straightened instinctively, recognition flickering across his face. Agent Turner." Danielle's eyes didn't leave him. "I want to know exactly why you're putting your hands on my son." The woman who made the call paled, her voice coming out thin and shaky. I didn't realize he was with someone important. I just thought he was—" Danielle turned to her slowly, her voice dropping to a low, icy register. "Thought he was what? Up to something? Because he's black? Because he was sitting on a bench?" The woman opened her mouth, but no words came out. Danielle took a deliberate step closer, every inch of her body radiating control and warning. "Next time you reach for your phone to report someone for existing while black, remember this." She gestured toward her badge. "Because today, you called the cops on the wrong kid." The woman's face flushed deep red. She took a step back, shrinking under the weight of every eye now trained on her. Jamal stood motionless, still trying to process what had just unfolded. Danielle turned back toward the officer. "Take her statement, then leave my son alone. Clear?" The officer nodded stiffly, his face now pale. Danielle didn't wait for a reply. She wrapped an arm around Jamal's shoulder, guiding him toward their car at the curb. "You good?" she asked softly, her tone finally softening. Jamal swallowed hard, then gave a small nod. "Yeah. Thanks, Mom." As they walked away, Jamal felt the pressure in his chest ease for the first time that afternoon. But something else lingered, a quiet anger, a mix of relief and frustration. What if she hadn't shown up? Danielle seemed to read his thoughts. Sliding into the driver's seat, she glanced over at him with a tired but determined smile. "Next time, let's choose a different park." Jamal let out a shaky laugh, nodding. "Yeah, probably a good idea." But deep down, he knew this was bigger than one park. This was a wake-up call. And thanks to his mom, today wasn't going to end the way it started. Jamal let out a soft laugh. Sounds like a plan. But deep down, the weight of what had just happened lingered. And as he sat there in the passenger seat, one thought kept circling in his mind. What if his mom hadn't been there? What if Agent Turner hadn't walked around that corner at the exact right moment? Or worse, what if the officer hadn't recognized her badge? What if things had spiraled like they had for so many others? It could have ended in headlines, not relief. It could have ended with something far more tragic than a tense afternoon at the park, and that's the part that stung the most, because Jamal knew he wasn't the first black teen to face something like this, and he wouldn't be the last. How many more times would kids like him have to explain themselves, defend their right, just to exist in public spaces? How many more times would fear, bias, and snap judgments dictate how someone's treated, based on nothing more than the color of their skin? This time, Jamal had someone powerful enough to intervene. But not everyone does. It could have been anyone. It could have been your brother, your friend. It could have been you. So here's the question. What would you have done if you were in Jamal's shoes, or in his mother's? How would you have handled it? We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us how this story made you feel. Do you think we can break this cycle? Can we change how these stories end in the future? If this hit home for you, don't forget to subscribe, because we're sharing the stories that matter, stories that need to be told, conversations that need to keep happening. Together, we can amplify voices that often go unheard and start turning awareness into action. Let's keep this dialogue going.